Did you ever feel like you were being watched? Like something just wasn't right? Well, let me tell you a story about my time in room 313. A story that still sends chills down my spine. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. So there I was, a nervous freshman transfer student at this old, creepy college in the middle of nowhere, New England. I was assigned to room 313 in the oldest dorm on campus, Hawthorne Hall. It looked like something straight out of a horror movie. All Gothic architecture and creaky floorboards. My roommate hadn't arrived yet, so the room felt extra empty and echoey. The first night was unsettling. I kept hearing these faint tapping sounds, like someone was knocking lightly from inside the closet. I checked it, of course. Empty. Just some dust bunnies and old hangers. I brushed it off as the old building settling, but the tapping continued every night, growing louder and more insistent. It was always the same rhythm, 3 knocks, a pause, then 1 knock. I tried to ignore it, blasting music, wearing earplugs, but it always seeped through, a constant, unsettling reminder that I wasn't alone. The atmosphere in that room was just heavy, oppressive. I felt like I was constantly being watched, like there was something else in the room with me, something cold and malevolent. I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that settled deep inside me. It was as though the very walls of the room were breathing, whispering secrets I couldn't understand. The shadows danced in the corners of my eyes, playing tricks on my mind, making me question my sanity. I started having trouble sleeping, tossing and turning, plagued by nightmares of shadowy figures lurking just beyond my sight. The tapping continued relentlessly. And my roommate Sarah finally arrived. She was bubbly and outgoing, a complete opposite of the creepy vibe of the dorm. I was so relieved to have someone else there, someone to share the strangeness with. I told her about the tapping, but she dismissed it as my imagination. Old buildings make noises, she said with a laugh. But then she started hearing it too. The same 3 knocks, pause, 1 knock. She tried to be brave, but I saw the fear creeping into her eyes. We started staying up late, trying to catch the source of the tapping. We searched the closet again and again, checked behind the walls, even looked in the attic. Nothing. One night, Sarah decided to try and communicate with whatever was making the noise. "If there's someone there," she said, her voice trembling, "give us a sign." The tapping stopped. Silence. Then, a cold gust of wind swept through the room, even though the windows were closed. Sarah looked at me, her face pale. "Okay," she whispered, "that's enough." We huddled together that night, too scared to sleep. The tapping resumed shortly after, more insistent than ever, as if mocking our fear. We tried to block it out, but it was impossible. The sound burrowed into our minds, driving us to the edge of sanity. I couldn't help but feel responsible, as though I had brought this upon us by simply being assigned to this cursed room. We began to explore the history of Hawthorne Hall, desperate for some explanation, some way to understand what was happening to us. A few days later, Sarah just disappeared. She went to class one morning and never came back. Her things were still in the room, untouched. Her phone went straight to voicemail. The police were called, but they found no trace of her. It was like she had vanished into thin air. I was terrified. I felt like I was losing my mind. The tapping grew louder, more frantic, as if whatever was making it was agitated by Sarah's disappearance. I started having nightmares every night, vivid dreams of Sarah being dragged into the closet by unseen hands. The university administration tried to reassure me, saying that Sarah had probably just run off. But I knew something else had happened. I felt it in my bones. I knew that room 313 had something to do with it. I felt trapped, isolated in this haunted dorm room, with no one to turn to. The police dismissed my concerns, attributing Sarah's disappearance to teenage rebellion or some other mundane explanation. They couldn't comprehend the unearthly terror that had taken root in room 313, the unseen force that seemed to be feeding on our fear. I knew I had to find answers to uncover the truth behind Sarah's disappearance, even if it meant facing the horrors that lurked within the walls of Hawthorne Hall. I was determined to solve this mystery, to expose the dark secret that haunted room 313 and reclaim my sanity. Driven by desperation and grief, I began my own investigation. I spent hours in the university library, poring over old yearbooks, newspaper articles, and historical documents. I wanted to know everything about Hawthorne Hall, about the students who had lived here before me, about any strange occurrences that might be connected to room 313. I discovered that the room had been locked for years, only recently reopened due to overcrowding. No one seemed to know why it had been locked, but there were rumors. Whispers of a tragedy, a scandal, something too terrible to talk about. I found a faded newspaper clipping from the 1950s about a student named Emily Carter who had committed suicide in room 313. The details were gruesome, disturbing. It was said that she had driven to madness by voices, by unseen forces that tormented her day and night. The clipping mentioned that Emily had been obsessed with the number 3, that she had constantly repeated the sequence 3, pause, 1. My blood ran cold. This was it. This was the source of the tapping. Emily Carter's restless spirit, trapped in room 313, reliving her final moments of despair. I realized that Sarah's disappearance was somehow connected to Emily, to this dark history that the university had tried to bury. I started seeing Emily. Not a full apparition, but fleeting glimpses, a shadow in the corner of my eye, a cold breath on my neck, a faint whisper in the darkness. She seemed to be trying to communicate with me, to tell me something. One night, I woke up to find her standing at the foot of my bed. She was translucent, ethereal, her eyes filled with unimaginable sadness. She reached out to me, her hand barely visible, and whispered, "Help me." Then she vanished. I knew then that I had to help Emily find peace, to uncover the truth of her death and release her spirit from room 313. I contacted a local paranormal investigator, a woman named Sarah, ironically, who specialized in haunted locations. She agreed to help me, warning me that this could be dangerous, that we might be dealing with something powerful and malevolent. We set up recording equipment in the room, hoping to capture evidence of Emily's presence. We also planned a seance, a ritual to communicate directly with her spirit. The atmosphere in room 313 was thick with anticipation, charged with an energy that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. The air crackled with an unseen force, a palpable sense of dread that permeated every corner of the room. The seance was intense. The room grew cold, the candles flickered violently, and the recording equipment buzzed with static. Sarah led the ritual, chanting ancient words in a low, steady voice. We asked Emily to show herself, to tell us her story. At first, nothing happened. Then, the tapping started again, louder than ever. The closet creaked open, revealing nothing but darkness. Suddenly a voice echoed through the room, a woman's voice, filled with pain and anguish. "They lied," she whispered. "They said I was crazy. But I wasn't. They drove me to it." The voice faded, leaving us in stunned silence. Sarah, the paranormal investigator, was visibly shaken. "She's here," she said, her voice trembling. "She wants us to know the truth." We spent the next few days researching Emily's case, digging deeper into the university archives. We discovered that Emily had been a brilliant student, but she had also been struggling with depression. She had told her professors about the voices she was hearing, about the feelings of dread that consumed her. But they had dismissed her concerns, labeling her as unstable, as delusional. We uncovered a shocking secret. Emily had been secretly experimenting with a dangerous hallucinogenic drug that was circulating on campus. The drug had amplified her mental instability, pushing her over the edge. But the university had covered it up, afraid of the scandal. They had silenced Emily, driven her to suicide, and then erased her from history. Emily's ghost had led us to the truth, revealing the dark secrets that the university had tried to bury. I felt a surge of anger, a burning desire to expose their lies and bring justice to Emily. We compiled our findings and presented them to the university administration, demanding that they acknowledge Emily's story and make amends for their past actions. At first they refused to listen. But we wouldn't back down. We leaked our findings to the local media, igniting a firestorm of controversy. The university was forced to launch an investigation, and the truth finally came to light. The university administration, fearing further damage to their reputation, finally agreed to acknowledge Emily's story and erect a memorial in her honor. They also pledged to provide better mental health services for students. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. With the truth finally revealed, the tapping stopped. The cold, oppressive atmosphere in room 313 lifted. I felt a sense of peace, a sense that Emily's spirit was finally at rest. I never saw her again, but I knew she was watching over me, grateful for our efforts to uncover the truth. Sarah, my missing roommate, was eventually found. She had run away to clear her head, overwhelmed by the pressure of college. She was safe and sound, but she was deeply traumatized by her experience in room 313. We remained friends, bound by the shared horror of that haunted dorm room. The experience changed me, made me more aware of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly normal places. It taught me the importance of listening to those who are struggling, of believing in the unseen, of fighting for justice, even when it seems impossible. I decided to leave Hawthorne Hall, transferring to a new dorm, one that wasn't shrouded in secrets and haunted by restless spirits. I carried the memories of room 313 with me, a constant reminder of the horrors I had faced and the lessons I had learned. Years later, I still think about Emily and Sarah, about the dark secrets of room 313. The experience taught me the importance of believing in the unseen, of listening to your intuition, and of never giving up on the truth. Hawthorne Hall still stands to this day, a silent monument to the darkness that lurks beneath the surface. Room 313 remains locked, a reminder of the tragedy that occurred within its walls. But now Emily's story is known, her memory honored. She is no longer a forgotten victim, but a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of truth and justice. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind is howling outside, I think I can still hear the faint sound of tapping, a gentle reminder that we are never truly alone, that the past is always with us, waiting to be remembered. The story of room 313 is a cautionary tale, a reminder that we must never ignore the cries of those in pain, that we must always fight for justice, and that we must never forget the victims of the past. Because their stories, their memories, are what keep us human. It's a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left buried, but that the truth will always find a way to surface, even from the darkest corners of our history. So, that's my story about room 313. It's a terrifying tale, I know, but it's a true one. Have you ever had a similar experience? Let me know in the comments below. What's the creepiest thing that has ever happened to you? Seriously, I want to know. Also, if you enjoyed this story, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more spooky stories and paranormal investigations. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there. And remember, if you ever find yourself in a creepy old dorm room, listen closely. You never know what might be tapping on the other side. You never know what secrets the walls might hold. You never know what restless spirits might be waiting to be awakened. So be careful, be vigilant, and always trust your instincts. Because sometimes, the scariest things are the ones we can't see. And sometimes the truth is more terrifying than any ghost story. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with your friends who love scary stories. Bye.